Hello and thanks for joining. My name is Stephen Thomas. In today's video, we're going to talk all about the brand new Kimi K2.5 model by Moonshot. We're going to talk about why every developer needs to know about this model, and then we'll take a look at how to use it via the API so we can build powerful applications right around this API. So let's jump in and take a look. Now, I've already went to the main landing page, and it's moonshot.ai. And here's where you'll get all the latest information about this model. And if you scroll down here, there's the latest research on Kimi K2.5. And let's dive into this. Now, what makes this different than other models is, first off, it's open source and open weights. So anybody can download this model and run it locally on their own environment, assuming you have enough horsepower to do so. I think it does require something like 600 or more gigs of RAM in order to execute. But nevertheless, you can still call it via their API, which they expose to you, or there's other third parties that will also host their model, and you can call them that way, like OpenRouter is one of them. You'll also want to make sure that you know that this is a China model, and when you call their interfaces, at least for sure, I'm pretty sure they're going to be hosted on some Chinese servers, and your data is going to be at least fully accessible to them. So fully understand that before you go out and implement this model. I wouldn't send anything to this model that I wouldn't want printed on the front page of the newspaper, for example. Now, one of the other big things with this model is it is multimodal. So that means it can understand text, it can understand video, it can understand images. You can upload all of them. You can upload a video and ask it to understand the video. It'll read it frame by frame and understand what's going on. The other piece that this has is something new called an agent swarm, where it will allow you to create up to 100 sub-agents, and it actually does this automatically for you when you ask it to do a more complex task. Now, I didn't do the paid version to get this to execute, so I haven't actually seen this in action. I don't believe this is supported via the API at this point, but I'm assuming that that will be coming soon. You also have the ability to call tools via this model as well. I'll let you peruse this on your own and take a look at the benchmarks and some of the other things you can do with that. What we're here to talk about is how important this is because it's a super powerful model. And the other half of that is how reasonably priced this model is. So let's jump over to the pricing page and take a look. Here under the API documentation, there's the chat pricing, and it has similar components like we've seen with other models. It bills by tokens, input and output tokens. And if you come down here, their new multimodal model, per 1 million tokens, it's going to be 60 cents input and $3 for output per million tokens, which this is an amazing price if you consider the features and then the power that this model is. And don't forget, if you don't want to pay this price, you can download it and run it locally if you have the right hardware. There's also smaller versions of the model, and I'm sure other ones will come out over time that will be able to run on more concise hardware. And something else to point out is it does have a super huge context window as well. So you will have plenty of ability to upload large documents, large files, and large text in order for this to process. Let's jump over again to the API documentation here. To get started with them, you go to Moonshot AI, you create an account. This is what an account looks like. You could come over and you would create your API key just like you would anywhere else. Something to point out down here is the recharge feature. So like we saw with other models like DeepSeek, you would go ahead and add money to your account. So I went ahead here and I added $10 to my account. They had a promo at the time that if you added $5 or more, they added $5 to it. So I got a $5 voucher. It looks like that's still in place. And I believe they constantly have other promos. I think I saw one for 30% extra top up if you put in $100 or more. Now, I've been using this quite a while now. If we go under overview, under billing, I started with $15 and I've only used 20 cents. So that's to give you an idea of how much I've used. Not very much, so I wouldn't go load this with a whole lot of money because your money goes pretty far here. Let's jump over and see a little bit more about the API. It does use the standard OpenAI SDK, so the input and output formats are going to be consistent across what you've seen with other AI models, which is a huge plus. If you come over here to the documentation, scroll down chat, gives you some examples how to do it. We're going to set this all up in Postman in just a minute and make some calls. If you scroll down here, it goes through field by field and outlines all the parameters that you can pass into the request. The one thing that I will note is that most of these parameters here are not editable for the K2.5 model. Even things like temperature, which is something very common to be set when you're calling other models, cannot be modified for the K2.5. Same with top P, and persistence penalties. All these are not going to be applicable for the K2.5. So they've I feel they already have it optimized, and with all the agent information and agent swarming that it can do, I can definitely see why they would not want these to be modified. Response format, though, is one of them you can change. You can response format, you can get text, or you can do a JSON object in which you would tell it what format you wanted and it would give that back. Otherwise, it's the standard fields that we would generally see when we're calling an OpenAPI endpoint. One thing I would note out here is they have this concept of files. So when you upload a video or an image for it to process, you can upload it as a base64 encoded string, which is definitely an option, or you have this ability to upload it essentially to their file system and then reference it as a pointer. The benefits of uploading the file is, of course, you can use it multiple times. You don't have to re-upload it again and again. And you can see here that it supports up to 1,000 files, each 100 megs each. Now, keep in mind, I have no idea where this data is actually being stored. I would assume that anything you put up here would be posted on the front of the newspaper. So I wouldn't upload anything confidential, proprietary at all. I'm just going to show you an example of uploading publicly accessible YouTube videos, which if anybody got access to would be fine. Now, again, you could download this model, run it locally, wouldn't have to worry about those kinds of privacy issues. So with that, let's jump over. I won't go into this in more detail. We'll see it in action. Let's jump over to Postman. Okay, I'm now over in Postman. We could take a look at the general call, very similar to what we've seen. Authorization is done via our token that we got and using a bearer token. Then the body is pretty simple. It's just simple here. What is a system prompt to outline what it's doing, and the user prompt to find out what it is expecting as from the user, and I'm just going to get text back. Let's just go ahead and call this and see what happens. And calls generally take between 30 and 90 seconds, kind of depending on the level of effort that it's going to do. I'm just asking it here something that's very current news, the whole OpenClaw Claude bot, personal assistant, just seeing what it knows about that. And we'll give it just a moment. And sure enough, it got something back. It says, I don't have any specific detailed information in my training data. And it just says an open source project and goes into some more information about it itself from what I would assume is probably doing a search on that. And it does come back with the reasoning, and you can see some of the information that it's doing here. So pretty straightforward here. But let's jump over and let's do this video processing. So let's go ahead and let's upload a video. And this uses that files upload command. And I set this up in Postman, which is pretty cool. Postman has been my tool of choice as of late. It has a whole built-in chat companion, which I didn't even know about, which can write all of this cool stuff for you if you don't want to write it yourself. I also use Claude to write a lot of this stuff for Postman, like pre and post processing scripts. But anyways, there's a lot of functionality you can get in here in Postman. So make sure if you're not using it to take a look at it. I'm just going to come over here and grab this file from my local system. I put this file on the C drive, if I can find the C drive. And it is a 70 meg MP3 file. Why has it got 2 there? 2. Just select it again. Okay. And this is using form data. And while I select this as a file, it allows me to select the file via that file picker. And Postman's going to automatically convert that to the base64 string and upload it for me. You can set the purpose of this. Video is what I want to set this at. There's video and there's image, and then there's 1 or 2 other values. The body of this message is going to be generated from this form data, so we won't see that. So let's go ahead and send this. Now this can take, in my experience, 2 to 3 minutes, depending. Oh, that was quick. That was really quick, actually. So here's our video ID. And when I've ran this before, it did take a couple minutes, but we can take this video ID, and now I'm going to jump over and make another call via the API. In this case, giving a system prompt about being a YouTube strategist. And what I wanted to do was analyze the video and give me chapter markers. So in YouTube, you can break video up into smaller chapters. I usually do that as I'm editing the video. Always seem to forget, and I'm like, oh, I got to go back all the way through the video and do it again. This way I can just upload it and let the AI take care of that for me. I set the user type to content. I set the video URL, and I'm going to paste in that ID here. Just like that. And the format in front of it is ms:\whack. So you're telling it that it's on the file system. That's the file ID. And I'm just saying I want you to analyze the video and then provide all of this, the output with the chapter markers for me to copy and paste it to YouTube. Gives an example and everything there. So let's go ahead. JSON object is expected. Go ahead and send this, and let's go ahead and see what response we would get back. Now I've also wrote, while that's running, a post response script here that's going to parse into the response here. It's going to response into the content and further clarify and clean up the response data so it's very beautiful to read. It will show up here in the console, and we will see that in copy and pastable form right into our YouTube description. So we'll give this just a moment and pass. It takes 45 seconds or so to execute. So I will jump back in just a moment when that is complete. Okay, and that is complete. It took 1 minute and 9 seconds. You can see here the raw response that came back, but more importantly, again, I used Postman, this post response processing script, to give us nice friendly input or output here to see what the chapter markers would be. So I could just select that and paste it right in there. And these are, you can see the timestamps are pretty good, and the description here is very good. I marked it to be SEO rich, everything like that. And I could compare this to if I did do one manually and see which one I like better. So real quick, let's jump back to a code, and I'm going to jump into an Azure Logic App. And I'm going to show you this in action. This is a process I wrote to ask for help when playing a game of 5-card poker. And this could be any workflow engine. This just happens to be Logic Apps in this case. First thing I do here is I compose my system instructions. I compose my user instructions with my request, which is the player's hand. And here's really the magic where I'm composing this request to send to the Kimi K2.5 model with my system and user prompts. Making that call, I switched this from a DeepSeek model to Kimi with almost no effort whatsoever. I just had to update this URL and update the bearer token. That was about it. And the response and everything is going to be the same because it all follows that same OpenAPI standard. Parse the response and then return what the user should do, and with suggestions on how they should play their 5-card poker hand, which ones they should draw. So this is to give you an idea of using that model in action. Again, this was a great use of this model because of the cost efficiency. We won't have to worry. This is proprietary data. It could go get hosted and published wherever they want, and I would be okay with that. So this video was just intended to give you a high-level overview of this brand new model and how efficiently and effectively you can make these calls and the price point at which you can do so, which is pretty amazing. With that, thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and take a look at some of my other videos dealing with Azure integration, Azure AI, and up-and-coming AI model topics. Thank you.